Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to break down the recent confirmation hearing of Pete Hegseth, the president's nominee for Secretary of Defense. This wasn't just another confirmation hearing. It turned into a battle over the future of the military policy, standards, and the role of politics in the armed forces. Whether you're familiar with the details or just hearing about it now, by the end of this video, you'll have a deep understanding what was discussed, why it matters, and how it fits into the larger picture of the military readiness. Let's get started. So, the hearing began with some tough questions, okay? One of the early moments that caught attention was when Senator Elizabeth Warren, as you guys can see the article on the screen, asked Hegseth if he would commit to not joining the defense industry for at least 10 years after serving. This is a common question during confirmation hearings, meant to avoid conflicts of interest. However, Hegseth pointed out that since he's not a general, the same rules do not apply to him. His response was swift and direct, pointing out the impracticality of such a request for someone with his background and type of caliber, which immediately set the tone for the rest of the hearing. But this exchange was just the beginning of much a bigger conversation and standards and policies. I want you guys to check it out, family.
In other words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
You'll be the one, let us just be clear, in charge of the generals.
Look foolish, right, family? But now let's dive into the most heated discussions. Standards in the military. Pete Hegseth, a military veteran himself, spoke passionately about the importance of maintaining high standards in the armed forces, especially when it comes to combat readiness. He responded to questions that suggested he might oppose women in combat roles by clarifying that his concerns were not about gender, but about ensuring that everyone, regardless of their background, meets the same demanding qualifications. And here's where the conversation gets interesting. Hegseth emphasized that the military is about merit. He argued that the military personnel, male or female, should be selected and promoted based on their qualifications, not their demographics. The principle is crucial as the ability to serve in combat roles should rely on fitness, strength, and skill qualities, and that are essential for ensuring a high level of preparedness. I want you guys to check out in regards of Pete Hegseth being questioned in regards of women in combat roles. Check it out.
You said in your statement, you don't want politics in the DOD. Everything you've said in these public statements is politics. I don't want women. I don't want moms. What's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you therefore are no longer able to be lethal. I mean, you're basically saying women after they have children can't ever serve in the military in a combat role. It's a silly thing to say. It's a silly thing to say beneath the position that you are aspiring to.
Mr. Hegseth, I'm quoting you from the podcast. Women shouldn't be in combat at all. Where is the reference to standards that they should be there if they can carry, if they can run? I don't see that at all, Mr. Hegseth. What I see is that there's a 32-day period in which you suddenly have another description about your views of women in the military. And I just want to know, what changed in the 32 days that the song you sang is not the song you come in here today to sing?
Senator, the concerns I have and the concerns that many have had, especially in ground combat units, is that in pursuit of certain percentages or quotas, standards have been changed. And that makes the combat more difficult
for everybody involved. Let me make a suggestion about what happened in that 32 days. You got a nomination from President Trump. Now, I've heard of deathbed conversions, but this is the first time I've heard of a nomination conversion. And I hope you understand that many women serving in the military right now might think that if you can convert so rapidly your long-held and aggressively pursued views in just 32 days, that 32 days after you get confirmed, maybe you'll just reverse those views and go back to the old guy who said straight up, women do not belong in combat.
Well, family, there you have it. As you guys can see this article shared on the screen, Army approves reduced physical fitness standards for women, older soldiers. The question is, and I don't think really no real man would really want women out there on the front lines in regards of, you know, look, put it like this. I prefer and recommend women, and just thinking if I had a daughter out there, would recommend her being in administrative position. I don't think us men will really want women out there, you know, taking on such a traumatic experience, let alone out there in combat, really. And we don't want our women out there. However, they may, if they choose to, they are more than welcome to. But however, the question is, if they lower the standards for women that want to be in it, as Pete Hegseth basically emphasizes qualifying and qualification, you have to uphold the highest standard in regards of exemplifying, or I should say, magnifying the strength of our country, United States, right? In regards of military defense and protecting us all across the board. But if we lower our standards, will we really be proactive and prepare for another war? And that brings me to my next point in regards of standards being low, but it's still questionable because there's not enough recruitments, and America isn't really ready for another war because it doesn't have the troops, even with the standards lowered. So it shows where we're at from a physicality standpoint, and also um, it also, how can I put this? It takes away it takes away um the standards uphold to what to expect, right? Because at the end of the day, if the standards aren't what we magnify in regards of defending ourselves and being a strong country, America strong, right? Then we become considered weak when it comes to other countries. And if we dumb ourselves down to try to recruit desperately our troops, let alone we're already still struggling to recruit our troops, that can be very dicey. But I will get back to this topic because I have a question for you guys in regards of DEI, and could that be affecting the recruitment of troops along with the standards being lowered? But however, with Pete Hegseth speaking on results and speaking on qualifications, they continue to try to smear his name to the point where they wanted to ask him, which is wild to me. Um, my take is they wanted to basically come out and say, when did you stop beating your wife? Check out this crazy thing, man. Check it out.
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
In finalizing divorces from your first and second wives, were there non-disclosure agreements in connection with those divorces?
Senator, not that I'm aware of.
If there were, would you agree to release those first and second wives from any confidentiality agreement?
Senator, it's not something I'm aware of.
But if there were, you would agree to release them from a confidentiality agreement?
Senator, that's not my responsibility.
Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of your wives?
Senator, absolutely not.
But you would agree with me that if someone had committed physical violence against a spouse, that would be disqualifying to serve as Secretary of Defense, correct?
Senator, absolutely not have I ever done that.
You would agree that that would be a disqualifying offense, would you not?
Senator, you're talking about a hypothetical.
I don't think it's a hypothetical. Violence against spouses occurs every day. And if you as a leader are not capable of saying that physical violence against a spouse should be a disqualifying fact for being secretary of the most powerful nation in the world, you're demonstrating an astonishing lack of judgment. The incident in Monterey led to a criminal charge, a criminal investigation, a private settlement, and a cash payment to the woman who filed the complaint. And there was also a non-disclosure agreement, correct?
It was a confidential settlement agreement off of a nuisance lawsuit.
Right. During an interview, you claimed that you settled the matter because you were worried that if it became public, it might hurt your career. Do you maintain that you were blackmailed?
Senator, I maintain that false claims were made against me. And ultimately,
your attorney
those
used
false
the
claims,
phrase,
I have the opportunity to attest my innocence in those false claims.
Well, there you have it, folks. But Hegseth made an important distinction. There's a difference between equality and equity. And equality means that everyone is held to the same standard, while equity often implies adjusting standards to account for different starting points or needs. Hegseth made it clear that while everyone should have equal opportunity, the military must maintain equality in standards. For example, in basic training or combat missions, the ability to carry a heavy weapon or heavy equipment, navigating challenging terrain, or perform under pressure should not be altered based on individuals' gender or background. These are the tasks that require physical and mental preparedness, and adjusting standards could risk compromising the entire mission. And this concept has been a topic of significant debate in recent years. And historically, women have been excluded from direct combat roles in many armed forces around the world. However, over the last few decades, there has been a shift. In 2015, the U.S. Department of Defense lifted the ban on women in combat positions, citing the fact that women could meet the same physical standards as men. This was a major step forward in gender equality within the military. But the question still remains, should these standards be universal or should they be adjusted for different groups? Hegseth believes in the former, universal standards that ensure every soldier is qualified for the same responsibilities, regardless of gender or background. Check it out.
How can we ask these warriors to train and perform the absolute highest standards when you are asking us to lower the standards to make you the Secretary of Defense simply because you are buddies with our president-elect? And by the way, he has filed for bankruptcy 6 times. I'm not quite sure he's the kind of CEO you want to refer to as a successful businessman.
Our standards will be high and they will be equal, not equitable. That's a very different word. We need to make sure every warrior is fully qualified on their assigned weapon system, every pilot's fully qualified and current on the aircraft they are flying, and every general or flag officer is selected for leadership or promotion purely based on performance, readiness, and merit. Leaders at all levels will be held accountable, and warfighting and lethality and the readiness of the troops and their families will be our only focus.
Well, there you have it, folks. So Hegseth's argument isn't just theoretical. He speaks from experience, having served in various combat zones. He shared personal anecdotes of leading troops through high-risk missions. He talked about dodging IEDs, calling in close air support, and pulling comrades to safety. These experiences shaped his understanding of what the military needs in order to maintain operational effectiveness. And he believes that when you see the realities of combat firsthand, you understand the importance of ensuring that every soldier is fully prepared for the dangers they may face. He argued that no soldier should enter a fight where they might be not fully capable of winning it, and that means maintaining rigorous standards. Like I mentioned earlier. but let's shift gears for a minute. There's another pressing issue in the military today, recruitment, right? And the U.S. Armed Forces have faced serious challenges, like I mentioned earlier, in recruitment. And part of this issue has to do with changing the nature of military standards. According to recent reports, some military branches have had lower their recruitment standards to meet quotas. These changes include everything from physical fitness, requirements to educational qualifications. In fact, the Army recently adjusted the physical fitness tests to make it easier to pass, allowing more recruits to enlist. Some say this is a necessary step to meet recruitment goals, but Hegseth, along with other military experts, argues that lowering standards compromises readiness and could put national security at risk. A prime example of this is the Army Combat Fitness Test, or ACFT. In the past, the Army used a standard fitness test focused on exercises like push-ups and sit-ups, which were criticized for not accurately measuring a soldier's ability to perform in combat situations. The new test, introduced in 2020, is more comprehensive, so to say. It includes exercises like deadlifts, sprints, and carrying a heavy rucksack. However, there's been a pushback with critics arguing that the new test still doesn't fully account for the physical demands soldiers face in combat. Some say the test is too demanding, especially for certain demographics. And there has been discussion about making further adjustments to make it more inclusive. Hegseth, on the other hand, believes that a one-size-fit-all approach, regardless of who's taking the test, is essential. For Hegseth, it's about ensuring that no matter who enters the military, their preparedness for the physical and mental demands are necessary of warfare, or I should say, they are prepared for the physical demands and mental of warfare. But at the end of the day, the debate over military standards isn't just about policy, it's about the future of the armed forces. Should we prioritize inclusivity and adjust standards, or should we uphold a system where performance is the only thing that matters? In this case, results, right? Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing revealed the deep divisions on the issue, and it's clear that the decisions made today will have the lasting impacts on the effectiveness and integrity of the military. So what do you guys think? Are we compromising military readiness by lowering standards? Or is it time to evolve and make the military more inclusive? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you find this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. Until next time, folks, keep questioning, stay informed, and always strive for excellence. Peace.